He made the announcement between the turkey and the pie, the kind of timing that told me he thought it was a celebration. Dad raised his glass, smile sharp as the carving knife beside him. "We're selling the family business," he said. $50 million. And, he paused, eyes gleaming with the satisfaction of control, "you're getting nothing." My siblings erupted in laughter and applause. Forks clinked, glasses toasted. They thought it was triumph. I thought it was confirmation. I just smiled. Calm, controlled, almost grateful. "Who's the buyer?" I asked, voice low enough to slice through the noise. He leaned back, grinning. "Everest Holdings," he said proudly. "Brilliant firm, ruthless negotiators. They close next week." I laughed, once, quietly, the kind of laugh that doesn't reach the eyes. "Dad," I said, setting my glass down, "I am Everest Holdings." The room went still. Forks froze. The sound of the clock in the hallway filled the silence. He blinked once, twice. My siblings' smiles collapsed one by one, and I sat there, the quiet center of a storm I had built myself. 2 years earlier, I'd stood in that same dining room, holding the same glass, believing the same man. I was the dutiful eldest child, the one who came home every weekend, who handled the accounts, who believed that family meant loyalty. He used to say, "Someday, this business will be yours." I believed him. Then one night I found the amended will in his study. My name wasn't just missing, it had been deleted. Not scratched out, deleted, retyped, sealed, notarized. Every trace of me removed. The business that I built up from the brink of bankruptcy, restructured, digitized, expanded, was being handed to my siblings, the same ones who never worked a day for it. When I confronted him, he called it a business decision, said I was too independent, said I didn't need family money. He wasn't wrong. But what he didn't know was that I also didn't forget. That night, I poured myself a drink and began to plan. Revenge, when done right, isn't loud. It's ledger deep, signature sharp, perfectly legal. I started with silence, stepped back from the company, politely. They thought I was bitter. In truth, I was building. I founded a shell company, Everest Holdings LLC, offshore, layered, untraceable. Then I began buying. Not the business, not yet. That would come later. I bought its dependencies, suppliers, transporters, maintenance contracts, even the security firm. Piece by piece through intermediaries. By the time my father realized the costs were creeping up, Everest Holdings already controlled the arteries that fed his empire. Then came the second phase, pressure. I let the market squeeze him. Interest rates, supplier delays, unforeseen regulatory issues, all small enough to frustrate, big enough to push him toward one inevitable solution, a buyer. When the letter of intent hit his desk, he saw salvation. The name Everest Holdings meant nothing to him, just another faceless investor with deep pockets. He signed eagerly, and now, here we were, Thanksgiving. He stared at me like he was trying to see through glass that had just turned to mirror. "You're lying," he said finally. "You don't have that kind of money." I smiled again. "You should know better than anyone. Money isn't earned, it's positioned." His hands trembled. My siblings looked at each other, confused, like children realizing too late that the fire they'd laughed at was spreading. "You're bluffing," he said. I reached into my jacket, pulled out the envelope, slid it across the table. The sale documents, already signed, stamped, transferred. Ownership, mine. He scanned the pages, his breath shortening with each line. The final signature, his, rested beside mine. "That's impossible," he whispered. "No," I said softly. "That's business." He tried to stand, but the weight of understanding pinned him down. All those years of control, manipulation, and favoritism, undone by a simple truth he'd taught me himself. Know the rules better than the man who made them. "You set me up," he said. "No," I corrected. "You trained me." The clock ticked. Someone's glass tipped over. My youngest sister began to cry quietly. I stood, adjusted my tie, and looked around the table, at the people who had smiled when I was erased. "You'll still have your inheritance," I said, "whatever's left after the restructuring." "Restructuring?" my brother asked, his voice cracking. I turned toward the door. "Everest Holdings doesn't keep liabilities." Outside, the November air was sharp and clean. Behind me, I could still hear them: confusion, anger, the rising panic of people realizing they had been outplayed by the one they dismissed. I lit a cigarette. I don't smoke, not usually, but tonight wasn't usual. I watched the smoke drift upward, thinking about how easily family can become strangers, and how satisfying it is when justice does.